Welcome to Market Matters. I'm Nadia Hassan together with not Darth Vader, Sulhi, Azman. It is our Halloween special for Market Matters because it's the end of the month, and although Sulhi and I don't really celebrate the pagan festival, the fact is, the fact is that it's an interesting theme to take away because it's been a very, very scary month. Saying that, if anybody wants to send us candy, we will not turn it away. So what's the first thing that actually scared us this week? Who was it?
Oh, finally I can breathe.
Yes, exactly. So what scared us this week?
There's a lot of things that has been scaring us as well. And if you look at the, it's October curse, for instance, we managed to evade that October curse, and which, a lot of things have, historically has been proven that a lot of things have been happening in October.
Yeah, exactly. So the fact is, the big thing that we saw was we didn't actually hit the October curse. So, and every time, because if you look at the list of things that actually happened in October, Black Tuesday, Great Depression, all of that happened during October. And as we know, stock markets are driven by fear and greed, and I think a little sad hint of superstition.
Perhaps, if you look at the historical, right, adding on to your point 5, the 10 largest the drop in Dow Jones have happened in October, for instance, and the market peaked on 2007 but never managed to recover and continued to fall by 20% in the following months.
Well, our week also actually, although today the KLCI was actually up during the day, it actually ended down. But if you look at overall, it's actually not so bad. But traditionally, they found that the last week of October is the worst week in the fourth quarter.
But Nadia, we are going to enter November and December. I think with all the curse going away, hopefully this is going to spell good things for us.
Well, I don't know about that. Actually, they found out that September is actually worse. They found that September is actually worse. Lehman Brothers collapse was actually at the end of September. So, but what else do we have to look out for the markets? There's a couple of things, right? 3Q earnings. Apple had a massive day that actually helped the US, and of course we are having our earnings as well. Value cap,
the government has pledged in the earlier, just ahead of the budget, they wanted to pump in some 20 billion ringgit in the stock market. Hopefully, making it rise above the KLCI target. Okay,
so moving on to the other thing that was interesting, well, at least spooky this week, Janet Yellen and the spell that she casts on everybody.
The powerful woman.
The powerful woman who actually makes grown men pee their pants.
And sends shivers.
And sends shivers. Basically just both. The fact is, every time she says something, markets shake. She has an almost magical way about it, Sulhi, because when she mentioned in September that there was no way they were going to have a rate hike, guess what happened? Everybody recovered. If you look at the Dow Jones, notable dip just before the announcement, and after that, wow, it just soared.
And I think, a lot of people, seems to be, but then again, a lot of people are actually more predicting that the rate hike is going to be anticipated in December and also possibly in the first quarter of next year.
Well, I think the first quarter of next year was what people were thinking about. They were hoping they could end December on a good note because December usually traditionally, in contrast to October, is the best month for window dressing and things like that. I think she did it just to shake people up.
Perhaps, and also at the same time also remove some uncertainty in the market, for instance.
Actually, no, I think she added to the uncertainty because for a recent one.
And you look at the ringgit, for instance, right, at that point in time, when when markets are actually speculating to raise the interest rate, it just went a bit bizarre and volatile. And I think you've also been reading the FOMC meeting minutes.
Yeah, exactly. So I think the word that she used was next month. December is going to be the month to look at it. She's telling people basically, don't be comfortable. We don't know what's actually going to happen. So you'll take a lot of, actually the economic numbers will be the biggest one to look for. So moving on to our third topic of the day, talking about, putting ghosts to rest. Arul Kanda, head of 1MDB, and Tony Phua, MP, actually got into a big firefight this week. And what actually eventually happened was that Arul Kanda actually went to, them fighting words, Sulhi. They said, Arul Kanda went to Tony Phua and said, if you resign from PAC, I will take you on in a live debate.
But if you look at Tony Phua, Tony Phua has been saying that be a man and stop, making all these terms and say, debate me on the live TV.
Well, do you think this will solve anything?
Personally, it's not because as long as there's fighting going on and there's no proper investigation going on to the 1MDB, it's not going to end. I think the saga will keep on continuing.
But saying that it'll be entertaining, won't it?
Yeah, I think so. Hopefully it will be like a GOP presidential debate, and also the Venezuelan president Hugo Chavez and the Alo Presidente.
Different things, right? So the presidential debate was last night. I think a lot of people said there were winners and losers. Hugo Chavez, of course, had a fantastic show where basically if you were a member of his cabinet, you had to watch the show because you didn't realize whether you're going to have a job the next day. But yeah, firefight, big thing. I think it's going to be great for ratings, but is it really the reality show path that we want to take for matters of such big state?
I don't think so. I think we need to see some kind of intellectual debate where actually, 1MDB, they have a lot of mess that needs to be resolved, and at the same time, 24 also has to be able to convince that, and make that conviction that 1MDB can actually be resolved, and also, settle this in a more good manner, I suppose.
Saying that you'd watch it, wouldn't you?
I definitely would like to watch it,
But would you hope for something like Jerry Springer? We'll have to see how that actually kind of goes up. We hope it doesn't come to that. And finally, for our last topic this week, talking about, interesting things, and Spectre is a ghost anyway. So next week, James Bond's Spectre is actually out. It's the 24th in the 24 of these movies in the series. Because the reason why we talked about this subject was because we read about how much it costs to be James Bond. The suits, the watches, the Aston Martin, all in all, to become James Bond, it would actually cost you $1.5 million US. That's how much one agent would actually cost.
However, his salary is about $104,000 US per year, and we think that
either he's really wealthy, or he's massively in debt. But okay, here's the funny thing, Sulhi. Looking at James Bond, would you call him a government servant? He's a civil servant, isn't he?
He is a civil servant. After all, he works for the government, and he has the interest to protect the government that he's working with.
Okay, although technically James Bond does not exist. Yes, we're not out of our bomb, we're out of our mind. But the fact is, it brings an interesting debate. For security, would you actually pay 1.5 million for somebody like James Bond to make sure you could sleep easier at night?
Well, if it helps to save the government, then why not? I mean, if you have in Malaysia, but then again, we need to understand that we need to make sure that the amount is well spent. For instance,
and I think that's the crux of the matter. We're talking a lot about civil service, and this huge argument that Malaysia's civil service is massively bloated, and some people will actually argue that no, it's actually not. But then I think the thing that we can all agree on is that whatever money that we give you, we want to see efficiency.
Yes, I mean, look at this, Nadia. For instance, in a budget for 2016, for instance, right, 30%, about 30% is allocated to emoluments and salaries and wages and so on. Does that not signify it's a bloated civil service? I don't know. I think the public has to judge about that.
Well, okay, Idris Jalil has said that, look, we just need to use it better. We'll have to see how that kind of goes. But yes. Look, the thing is, we're spending so much and we don't even have a James Bond. Whether we want a James Bond is another thing. I think we can all agree that essentially, it has to be spent well. The reason why my toll goes up, it has to be spent well.
Definitely, and if you look at some of the government ministers, for instance, right, they have funding more like 800 million ringgit to prop up certain things and driving certain issues.
Yeah, exactly. So we have to see how that goes. Anyway, that's all for us on this very special Halloween edition of Market Matters. More on bits and pieces of the news, you can go over to theedgemarkets.com. Tomorrow, of course, is the Edge Weekly is going to be out, so go pick up a copy. And
have a good weekend.
And I hope you all have a very happy weekend. Happy Halloween, everyone.
Happy Halloween, everyone.